This is a really important piece of reporting because it will help a lot of investors and readers understand all the other stuff that's going into this movement outside of just the chips and the compute. BlackRock's GIP partners, Global Infrastructure Partners, is a big player. So what we're reporting, citing sources, is that they would acquire Aligned, which is basically a company that builds data centers, the actual buildings, the metal, the concrete, the sand, the water, the cooling, and then decides on their locations and manages basically a portfolio of them. What's interesting is you see a familiar name, MGX, the investment vehicle backed by the UAE and its other sovereign wealth funds.
That's right.
So the idea here is that BlackRock's GIP acquires it, and in parallel, a separate equity investment from MGX. And what does this signal? It's this idea that we know about the compute demand. So we're basically thinking that there's going to be $4 trillion worth of demand for the chips and the server designs. But if you start to think about the concrete, labor, building materials, energy supply, utilities, water, cooling systems, you can expand that number out to 7 trillion. And this is some really big names making moves to make sure they have the name that can build the actual things and then manage them, as a piece of real estate and as an asset class, I suppose.
I'm looking for tops in this whole AI story. Where's the top? And I'm always like, man, when private equity gets in.
That was a big sigh, Paul.
I don't know. I mean, $40 billion for a real estate company? Is that what we're talking about?
I also want to be honest with you guys in the audience. Like real estate is, I'm not so au fait with real estate. It's not a world that I cover because we've been talking about San Francisco, right?
Yes.
So let me make a sort of weird parallel example. The OpenAI story we did this week on the $500 billion valuation in San Francisco right now. Everyone's like, this is going to create a huge bubble in the housing market. Why? Because you have about several hundred newly minted millionaires from that transaction. Seriously.
Wow.
So there's a knock-on effect from the capital flow to individuals and companies. Did you guys see the story that's also out this morning about Jeff Bezos, of all people, saying that the AI spending boom is a bubble?
Oh, really? Interesting. And his company is one of the major spenders.
Thank you.
But he says it's a bubble. He says it's a bubble that will pay off, though.
A bubble that will pay off. And right now the equation for public market investors and debt market investors, and I think the debt part's really important, is they do want to see the evidence that top line growth is materializing, particularly in software companies. If you're a venture capitalist, you don't care. That's not how that works. Growth at all costs is okay. And so when we think about OpenAI, Anthropic, Perplexity, all these names that we love to talk about, it's the money plowing in. There's less focus on the money coming in out the other side.